Welcome to Beyond Your Why podcast coaching edition, where we delve into the world of elite coaching and consulting. Now, this podcast showcases leading coaches who've harnessed the power of their why to shatter boundaries and achieve extraordinary success. Now, each episode will feature coaching powerhouses who will share their unique journeys, breakthrough insights, and transformative impact of living their purpose. Now, let's meet today's guest. His name is Brian Holmes. He's the president and lead pastor of Empowered Christian Ministries and Empowered365 Network. He specializes in leading his organization, creating courses, speaking, teaching, and offering life coaching and counseling through small groups and one-on-one sessions. He is also an author and content creator on YouTube. Brian, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here and to talk about this.
Well, let's just jump right in, Brian. Can you give us a snapshot of your coaching and what's your primary focus and what are the major outcomes you help your clients achieve?
Yeah, the primary thing that I am focusing on and that I want to help other people accomplish is I'm a pastor now and a teacher now, but I spent the early years of my life sort of as a believer, but not as a disciple of Jesus, right? So I was sort of chasing the good life through business and through fitness and through relationships and all kinds of stuff. But I never really was deeply fulfilled. I never had that internal sense of why I existed and what I should be doing with my life. And so the essence of our ministry is to help people discover what that is, right? Because even though you could have something that you enjoy doing and it gives some sense of significance and contentment to your life, it may not be deeply satisfying, like fulfilling at a spiritual level. And it also may not be connected to your relationship with God and his plan for your life. And so I believe that when we can connect all those things to where people know who they are, how God has created them, and what their calling is, and then how that could be connected to what the Bible calls the Great Commission, right? It's this mission that every follower of Jesus has, which is to bring the gospel, the good news to everyone in the world. And so when we can find out who we are and grow as a follower of Jesus while working with other people towards the Great Commission, in a way that's connected to our unique way that we can fit into that plan, then we're going to be deeply fulfilled and get a ton out of this life. And so our ministry, our coaching, our online courses are all designed to help people do that.
So who does your coaching work best for? What kind of individuals do you find benefit the most from your coaching approach?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with all different kinds of people, from the 14-year-old to people in their 70s, but I would say those who my approach would appeal to the most are people somewhere in their 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe early 50s, who they've tested the world, right? They've tried the business success or family success, or they've done other things in order to feel like their life has purpose and meaning, and but they know that those things just fall short. And ultimately, what I found is that God created us with sort of a God-shaped hole in our heart, and the things of the world are not going to satisfy us as much as our relationship with him. And then the activities and things we do in this life, they're not going to be as fulfilling as they would be if we're not discovering those things about ourselves and then growing in the ways that we should grow, and then actually aligning our life with those things. So I'm looking for people that are ambitious and motivated and have a desire to see the world be a better place, have a desire to become more like Jesus. Maybe they go to church already, but they're saying, I don't know really how I can serve here in a way that really makes a difference, right? A lot of people are just greeting at the door, serving coffee, and they're like, I agree. Most of those people have way more potential in them. And my coaching and the rest of the network is designed to help them discover what those things are in them, pull that out of them and nurture it. And then we walk alongside people so that they have community and training and everything they need to get everything they can out of life.
I love that. Before the podcast, Brian, you and I had a chance to talk about your YOS. And so for the listeners, Brian's why is to find a better way and share it. So he's always looking for something better, trying to push things forward, right? But how he does that is by seeking mastery, diving in really deep, knowing a lot about it, looking for the little things that make the big difference. But ultimately what he brings are structure and processes and systems to get predictable results. And so, first of all, Brian, how did that feel to you when we were talking about it? And how is that translated into the type of coaching you do and the courses that you've created?
Yeah, I thought that was really accurate, as far as its assessment of who I am and kind of the way that I do things and why I do them. Everything that I do is all designed towards the better way. It's towards naturally recognizing there's something not right about this, or there's something that could be improved about this. And how do we go about improving it in order to make a bigger impact, in order to solve a problem, in order to have a better outcome? And so, everything that I've done, even the name of the ministry, Empowered Christian, right? It's about becoming empowered. And how we become empowered, which just means to get the power, to have the ability to do something, is through education. So I'm always teaching and explaining things and helping people learn. And so there's all these different ways that I've done that help people go deeper so that they actually understand things. And I feel like that's a way that I bring my better way approach, because I think a lot of people just don't have they don't have education when it comes to this topic. A lot of time, maybe they've read a book here or there, or watch some YouTube videos or something, but most people are not living up to their full potential. And I think all of us kind of innately sort of sense that. And so most of us are kind of doing something, but it may not be all the best things we should be doing that will really help us get the most bang for our buck. So I think the better way is something that drives me. And I think that's really kind of, when you look at the world and you say, okay, the world's still pretty broken, it's a pretty messed up place. And you talk to people and you find out people are struggling with all kinds of stuff. Marriages are in trouble, and people are unfulfilled in their lives. And, there's a lot of areas of improvement. And a lot of people, we sort of, we complain about what's going on and we say, I don't know what to do. And then, a lot of people escape into drugs or alcohol or entertainment or something that feels good, because we don't want to think about the problems of the world. And I get that to some extent. I think we all need to do that a little bit just to stay sane. But, if we really want to make an impact for good in the world, and I believe we're all called to do that, then I think we should step more into how do I be a part of this solution, right? Rather than just, there's a problem and I'm going to turn a blind eye to it, or even I see a problem, but I don't think there's anything I can do, so I'm going to go do this instead. Thinking about how can we help create change. And so a lot of what I've done is helping people get to that place.
I love that. Now, in today's crowded coaching landscape, what do you think separates your approach apart from others?
I would say a lot of things. For one, I mean, if we could get more narrow when we talk about specifically Christian-based coaching, so that differentiates me quite a bit. And then even of those who are Christian-based, just coming as a pastor and as a Bible teacher, and as somebody who's very dedicated to God's intent, what he intends for us, for our lives. That's going to be really different, right? Because I'm not just going to tell you what would make you feel good, or maybe even necessarily what you want to do. I'm going to say, here's what God's word teaches. And so I'm teaching a lot. And it's actually one of the things I was doing, coaching and counseling, even before I started making courses, because I started to realize, I'm repeating myself a lot. So it's same thing with YouTube and all the rest. And we're doing a weekly podcast where I'm live streaming people's questions and answering it live and stuff. And I'm like, people just need to have a deeper understanding of, so that way they start to think biblically. They start to see the world the way that they should, if they wanted to be consistent with what God is telling us is actually the reality, right? And so I'm teaching a lot from a biblical view. That's pretty different. I'm also not somebody who comes out of the church world, right? Most pastors, most Bible teachers, a lot of them are, I gave my life when I was 12 years old, and then I went to seminary at 18, and I got married at 22, and now I have 3.7 kids. And that's not my story at all. I mean, I rededicated my life to Jesus at age 30 after years of pursuing kind of the world. I'm single. I don't have any children. Kind of this ministry is my passion. It's what I put all my energy into. And so I kind of view things differently. I don't see the church or individuals kind of with the status quo way of doing things. And so it kind of just, I'm sort of a nonconformist. So usually my approach is really different and is more nuanced. I understand what it, if you didn't grow up in church, right? So I'm used to explaining things to people. A lot of the people I've ministered to were either, new Christians, or some of them weren't even Christians when they met me. And then they've given their life to the Lord during this process. And so everybody is somewhere on their journey. And I've made it one of my objectives to help identify where you are, and then what specifically needs to shift or change, or what do you need to understand, or what should you focus more on or less on, and what do we do next, right? So I'm problem solving everything. It's not just, well, what do you feel? What do you think is good? And then you should do that. And so I'm much more of a problem solver, much more of a teacher. And I think more, I believe in people's potential. And so I'm always gonna be a cheerleader who's like, you can do more and be better. But also, there's no shame or guilt if you're not living up to your full potential, right? Sometimes when you see things the better way, you can kind of negatively put undue pressure on other people or even on myself. And I've learned that not to do that. There's a harm in doing that. And so I try to look for small incremental steps in progress that people can make that are doable, right? Do this lesson, do this prayer activity, take small steps towards long-term success that are all kind of working towards a direction that will be good for everybody in the long run.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, Brian, that gives us a really good understanding of your coaching philosophy and the impact that you have and why somebody would want to work with you. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's have some fun. All right. We're going to go to a quick lightning round. So these are going to be rapid fire questions and quick answers. You ready?
Yep.
All right. How about coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs. I got one laying right there next to me.
If you could only grab one item during a zombie apocalypse, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. Do I have a machine gun anywhere nearby?
Okay, machine gun would work. How about a favorite quote or phrase that you think about often?
My favorite Bible verse. I quote it every time I sign one of my books. It's Romans 8:28. It says, we know that God works all things for the good of those who love him and who are called according to his purpose. And I'm always saying he's working all things for their good, for those who love God and who are called towards his eternal purpose, right? Who are going to spend eternity with him. Everything is being worked out for their good, both the good things in life and the bad things in life. He's using it. And I think that's a comfort to us when we're going through bad things.
Love it. Okay. How about a favorite movie or streaming series that you love?
I am always going through different things, and I just binge watch one thing until the next thing. I just finished, what did I just finish? It was called Manifest.
Okay.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know that it was my favorite one, but I just binge watched that recently and finished it. I thought it was pretty cool. Not entirely biblical, but they left enough gray space. I like the adventure stuff, the drama. I like interesting, thought-provoking stuff, or family dynamics and how it connects with spirituality. It's fun stuff.
How about one book that has influenced your life the most?
Other than the Bible, because that for a pastor, that just sounds too generic. I would say there's a book called Case for a Creator by Lee Strobel, and it was all about the scientific evidence that points to God. And I remember I was a believer, but not yet rededicated, not yet living for the Lord, just kind of doing my own thing and living in the world. And a friend and I went into a Walmart at like 3 a.m. after doing like the nightclub thing. And I saw this book on a table, and I said, it was right next to a Bible. I bought a Bible and that book. And I said, I've always wanted to know about the scientific evidence. Like, that's always been a lingering thing that kept me from being more devout in my faith. And so that began a journey. And then 5 years later, I rededicated. But
Wow.
that book was one of the pivotal moments. Yeah.
I love it. So, Brian, if some of our listeners would like to connect with you, hire you, work with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I would say it depends on which thing they feel more called to. If you want more of a one-on-one coaching, then they could go to empoweredchristian.org. But we also have another website, and it links to from the other one, called Empowered365.net. And that is our full membership program, where there's a bunch of different online courses covering different things. And there's sort of an online community there, and you can connect with me. You can ask me questions and dialogue with me and other students in every single lesson of every course. And so we're building a community. So that's a great way to kind of get your feet wet. There's little affordable low entry points where you can just kind of jump in and get started. And then later on, when you're ready to change the world, you just upgrade your membership, and we start talking about how we could do that.
I love it. Brian, thank you so much for your insights. Thank you for being with us here today, and great job.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.